say anything. And I had to help him get ready because I had to take him to a doctor's appointment. But I was speaking engagement before, and it was downtown. He was just frazzled. It was just a terrible, terrible day. He never remembered it was my birthday, and so that was just like that was just the hardest day ever. And the next day I spoke at an Alzheimer's Association meeting, and I lost it. I just cried telling them. And so, but the good part was that there were so many community members, unfortunately, that had experienced it, that they were there for me. And they're like, hey, I remember when that happened. And so, but other than that, yes, they have great days. My mom, like I said, she's stage 1. So it's not as progressed yet.
Well, listen, I'm praying for them and sending them positive.
Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Thank you is not enough, but I don't know that there are actually words. I am so grateful.
You guys are superheroes without capes, so thank you so much.
Having a medical episode behind the wheel can turn deadly very quickly. How the quick thinking of an 11-year-old and first responders saved a life.
Plus, how long does it take to get justice? It's a question that thousands of domestic violence victims here in Bexar County are asking. We found out what systematic problems seem to be putting them at risk. But first, questions tonight about a congressional staffer in Uvalde who died reportedly after catching fire. Regina Santos Aviles passed away on Sunday.
She worked for Congressman Tony Gonzalez's office as the regional director in Uvalde. The congressman saying tonight that he is heart-stricken over her death. Now, we've learned that police in Uvalde and the Texas Rangers are investigating what happened. KSAT Investigates' Daniela Ibarra is covering the story for us. And Daniela, you have been speaking with family members of Regina's, and they told you that she passed away after catching fire. What else did they tell you?
Yeah, I spoke with 2 family members. Both of them were adamant that they believe this was an accident. One of them said, no, it is an accident. It's important, though, to note that the medical examiner has not determined how or why she died, so we're still waiting to hear that officially. One of the family members also mentioned that there was a hose in front, which is why they believe that this was an accident. And one of the last words that they said that she said is, quote, I don't want to die. So that's another reason that they believe this was an accident. Family members say that they loved her, that she was a loving mother, a great wife. They nicknamed her Reggie. That was a nickname that her brother gave her, and that she really loved her job there in Uvalde as Representative Gonzalez's regional director.
So we've heard some from the family. We mentioned that Uvalde police have done an initial review, but we also talked about how the Texas Rangers are investigating. Do we know why they are part of this case at this point?
So we reached out to the Texas Rangers this morning. We still haven't heard from them as to why they are investigating this. We do know from Uvalde police that they say that they don't believe there was foul play. So that was something that stood out to me in that press release. And Uvalde police say that they're working with several different agencies. So like you mentioned, the Texas Rangers as well as EMS, because they responded to the scene, and fire to figure out what exactly happened. And they say that investigation could take several weeks.
There's a lot right now that we don't know. So many questions that we have. But what information are we waiting for now specifically?
So we're still waiting to learn that official cause and manner, the how and why this woman, Regina Santos Aviles, why she died. We're also waiting to learn what police and firefighters saw. So far, we haven't gotten much information from them. The most information we've gotten is from that family member that was there that day. So we're waiting to get more records, hopefully some audio from that. And all this could take several weeks. So it could be a while.
Okay, Daniela, thank you.
Yeah, you'll keep us updated. We appreciate it. So Santos Aviles worked for Congressman Tony Gonzalez's office, who represents U.S. District 23. He sent us a statement saying, in part, quote, Regina devoted her profession toward making a difference in her community. She will always be remembered for her passion towards Uvalde and helping the community become a better place, end quote.
An 11-year-old girl and a group of first responders are being called heroes tonight. A local mother says that thanks to them, she's still alive.
With the help of our John Paul Barajas, they met up. That mom and her kids got to meet those who saved them from the side of a highway. They reunited for the first time since a scary medical episode.
Imagine this. You're having a fun one-on-one day with your daughter, and then out of nowhere, you start experiencing palpitations, tremors, and even blurry vision, so much so that you have to pull over on the side of a highway and tell your 11-year-old daughter to call 911 for you. Not only was that the case, but now that family is getting to say thanks to those who helped them.
Hi, it's good to see you.
You tell me who's who? Hi. Thank you so much.
The Lester family's grateful. Mom Jenna suffered a seizure last month.
As you were having your medical episode, she was giving us information, and she was talking to you, trying to get you to remember different things. And I mean, she just did amazing.
Good job.
She's doing much better now, in large part to her 11-year-old daughter Krista's heroics. Something she remembers vividly.
She's like, call 911. So I started panicking at that point because that was a little weird because I've never had to call 911 before.
Even though she was scared, Krista didn't hesitate.
She started seizing, and then I screamed really loudly. She passed out for a couple minutes, maybe a minute and a half. Foot was by the pedal, so I told her I had to be a little mean to her. I told her to get her foot away, and then the car just started rolling, so I had to put it in park.
And although stressed while tending to her mom on the side of I-10 at the Bernie Stage Road exit, Krista stayed on the line with 911.
I do remember her. I think I heard her say the exit number. And I remember saying, yes, good girl, and then that was it.
To give us information about what happened, I mean, I couldn't believe that an 11-year-old was that poised.
And it wasn't just Krista stepping up. Fire Station 47's crew not only took care of their patient, they made sure Jenna's son Caleb, who was home alone, had someone to take care of him and move the family's truck off the exit ramp so it wouldn't get towed.
I could not believe that they took care of all of that. Thank you is not enough, but I don't know that there are actually words. I am so grateful.
And Station 47's work wasn't done yet, making sure to get Krista a gift for a job well done.
They're so cute.
I'm glad you like them.
They're two of my favorite colors.
Making for a picture-perfect reunion. John Paul Barajas.
You guys are superheroes.
KSAT 12 News.
A whole group of heroes there. A former San Antonio police officer was arrested today, accused of sexually abusing 2 children over multiple years. Albert Sanchez Jr. was booked into jail just after 1 this afternoon. He faces charges of aggravated sexual assault of a child and continuous sex abuse of a child. 9 months ago, a Bexar County grand jury indicted him on allegations that he possessed images and videos of child sex abuse. Sanchez resigned from SAPD in April of last year, months after the allegations first surfaced.
We're learning tonight that a driver who died after he was shot and then crashed into a northeast Bexar County neighborhood was barely old enough to be behind the wheel. Investigators with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office say that this person was 16 years old. They found him yesterday morning on Steep Valley Drive near FM 78 and Walsham Road. Investigators say that they found shell casings inside of a home there, so that leads them to think that someone had fired at that victim through the inside of a home. After that, the teen crashed into a parked car, and a neighbor who wanted to remain anonymous tried to save his life.
Initially, I did just think it was from the crash, but as I was doing CPR, I saw the blood, saw that he got shot a couple times.
Detectives think the shooting was the result of an ongoing dispute, but so far they have not yet arrested anyone.
Let's take a look at traffic out there right now through this TransGuide camera view at I-10 and Frio. I always kind of like this one because we're looking right at downtown. The traffic, though, there's not much to like there, especially the lanes going into downtown. Those always back up during the 6 o'clock commute. They are doing so today. Opposite direction, though, moving along just fine.
It's no secret there's a massive backlog of domestic violence cases in Bexar County and also across Texas.
For criminal cases alone, that backlog number is over 6,200 at the Bexar County District Attorney's Office. That means survivors are waiting months or even years for protection or justice.
Courtney Friedman has been following this since 2017, and this week she went back to the people who handle those cases, and she asks what needs to change in order for survivors to get help sooner.
This is all part of Courtney's series on domestic violence called Loving in Fear.
It was extremely frustrating. When Carly Williams reported the abuse she was experiencing in her relationship, it took her 9 months to get a protective order.
Bexar County, they explained to me after I reported the incident that there was a continuous backlog from COVID.
All of these files are the family violence cases ready to go to trial.
But this past KSAT reporting shows there's been a backlog of criminal cases long before COVID. Williams made her report to police about 2 years ago.
My ex-partner was just recently indicted and we have not gone to trial. I don't know if we're going to go to trial.
Why do these domestic violence cases take so long?
They take more time as we work with law enforcement to get evidence. We don't always have all the evidence that we need. And that's just sort of the review intake process. Then you have the court process.
We checked back in with the Bexar County District Attorney's Chief of Family Violence Division, Melly Powers, who openly said the main issue is staffing, directly related to county funding. Right now, there's still an intake case backlog in their office of over 6,200 cases, and their attorneys are dwindling. Misdemeanor attorneys currently only 50% staffed.
It's been at least 5 to 10 years where this has been a serious problem getting worse. And the pandemic did not help, and our economic uncertainty is not making it any easier.
Heather Bellino is the CEO of the Texas Advocacy Project, which offers free civil legal services for abuse victims.
On the criminal side, we are seeing cases lasting 2, 3, 4 years. And on the civil side, getting protective orders is getting more and more difficult.
Texas Advocacy Project attorneys work with district attorneys' offices across the state, helping fill in resources when available.
Unfortunately, there's a finite amount of resources and bandwidth available.
Because you're being truly affected by federal funding cuts that trickle down from the state.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're 3 staff attorneys short right now, and they are closing nearly 6,000 cases a year.
Bexar County has one of the biggest backlogs in the state, but is on par with the other largest counties. So while the issue lingers everywhere, survivors remain in danger for longer.
The fact that you're bringing something like a protective order to a formal court is not going to make somebody happy that abused you. So it's extremely dangerous, yes.
Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
We mentioned this is part of a series that Courtney has been doing just over the years. She's also now digging into the staffing issues over in the Bexar County District Attorney's Office.
She finds out how bad that problem is, what employees think the fix is, but why they're worried that that won't happen. You can look for that report in the coming days. We also want to make sure that anyone being abused gets help. It is important to know there are resources out there.
And that's exactly why we have that QR code up on your screen, because that'll direct you to a list that includes many resources, some of them legal. And you could also get that information by visiting ksat.com/domestic violence.
2 nonprofits that serve women in crisis are in a budget crisis of their own. That's after they say the city of San Antonio cut some or all of the funding they were expecting.
City Hall reporter Garrett Berger tells us how the city says that it happened, and also if there's any chance of getting some of it back.
In the nonprofit world, every dollar counts. And when you're counting on them, you feel their absence.
It accounts for about 20% of our budget.
The group for her says $138,000 from the city of San Antonio for each of the past 2 years had been helping cover services like therapy and group support for domestic violence survivors or those at risk, but no longer.
To cover the deficit, we are going to have to most likely reduce some of our programs and serve less clients.
The Alamo Area Rape Crisis Center had been getting $170,000 from the city for sexual assault crisis and advocacy services, about half of that through ARPA. Already facing less state funding, they're in a tough spot now.
We just had to pivot and had to make changes, and that includes having to release some staff.
The issue is some or all of both groups' city funding came from the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, pandemic-era relief dollars that were always expected to end. But earlier this year, city staff emailed the groups saying the Department of Human Services had proposed a plan to extend current contracts up to 8 months. For her, even followed up with city staff to check.
And they did confirm that we were not going to have to reapply for that same money. It would just be prorated.
But when the proposed budget came out, the ARPA money wasn't there and had not been replaced. The city says that's their bad for sending those messages.
The agencies that were funded with ARPA received that. They should not have. That was a mistake on our part.
Family Violence Prevention Services, which had also been getting ARPA money, was also apparently told the same thing. Some council members want to make up for it.
Those are the three ones that I think are really important to make sure they become whole because they were given that information.
But at least in the case of For Her and the Rape Crisis Center, funding them requires dipping into reserves being held for a competitive process later this year.
Hey, we're going to take from here, then, we're going to get some other nonprofits knocking on all of our door. Also, they're going to have noble and worthy causes, and it's opening up a can of worms.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
We do want to mention that council members just finished discussing final budget changes.
And additional funding for delegate agencies like these was part of that discussion, but we won't see if they actually made the list of amendments until tomorrow. We'll keep you posted. A special day at City Hall where a group of people were officially sworn in as American citizens. Next here on the news at 6, we'll hear from one of them who talks about this emotional journey.
Breaking news coming into our newsroom in just the last few minutes. ABC has announced that they are pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off of the air indefinitely.
So this comes after Kimmel made comments on the show about Charlie Kirk's assassination. ABC has not yet said what they are planning to put into that time slot.
Of course, we'll keep you updated once more information becomes available.
50 people from 23 countries can now officially call San Antonio home in a whole new way, taking their oath of citizenship at City Hall today, which also marks U.S. Citizenship Day and Constitution Day.
Very special days. Eva Castillo Lopez was 11 years old when she and her mom took their first bus ride after arriving from Cuba. And she says that it's emotional now that she can finally call herself a U.S. citizen.
What that means for my family going forward, the examples I'm setting for them too, and all the things that I have accomplished so far. So kind of brought tears to my eyes.
And after they were sworn in, they had the opportunity to exercise an American right. They registered to vote.
Congratulations
Yes.
to everyone there today. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right, we're taking a live look outside right now. We've been keeping an eye on the radar. We looked at this view at 5 o'clock, Adam. The clouds have kind of cleared here, but it's off to our east that we're watching things.
And the traffic cleared a little. You should have seen that frontage road just an hour ago.
It was a hot mess.
It was a hot mess. It's a good way to put it. And we do have a few showers far east of San Antonio. Nothing significant, though. I mean, we're just seeing a few little brief pop-up showers, especially just southeast of Hallettsville. Generally outside of Lavaca County, but we do have one just south of I-10 in Lavaca County and just outside of Moulton. There, Comiskey Ranch area nearby, just south of Flatonia. This is all a very brief splash and dash, probably not going to add up to a whole lot. And you see Gonzales just had a few showers in the vicinity. Again, nothing significant, but we can see this kind of activity every afternoon going forward. Just slightly better coverage by this weekend and then into next week. So let's talk about the rain chances. We're at 10% chance Saturday, 20% Sunday and Monday, but it's Monday evening into Monday night we're looking at. We boosted the rain chances up to 40%, gaining a little bit of confidence, not a whole lot, but a little bit of confidence in some rain-making energy moving in because of the shift in our weather pattern. A few upper-level swirls out there, but too far away from us to give us good rain chances. Instead, we have the upper-level high, the big blue H. It's parked over northern Mexico, so it's not directly overhead, but it's going to continue to drift westward a bit, and that helps us out because you always have the clockwise circulation around these systems. And that means the steering flow aloft up above us is coming in from West Texas and New Mexico. And sometimes in these scenarios, we get little ripples of rain-making energy. And in the afternoon, that can combine with instability to generate a few brief showers. Also, the West Texas wild card that we talk about. Clusters of storms in New Mexico and West Texas can organize, and then the steering flow push them our way. That's one of the wild cards that we really typically only get about 12 to 24 hours notice of. So check back for updates as we may be boosting rain chances within little time frames within those days. Also, trough still expected to dig into Texas, somewhere into Texas, Monday evening. That's enhancing the rain chances up to 40%, just a little bit. But the vast majority of the rain up the plains, Oklahoma, northward to the Dakotas, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. We still have the potential, but it's at that 30 to 40% range, especially focusing on late Monday. So nothing too significant to get your hopes up. Tropical storm Gabrielle, max sustained winds right now of 50 miles per hour. So not a very strong system, but it is expected to strengthen a little bit as it heads to the northwest. Maybe a Category 1 hurricane as we get into the latter half of the weekend, and then somewhere near Bermuda by the weekend and into early next week. Odds are this is going to be steered away from the U.S. And I'll show you the spaghetti plots coming up at 6:45. Also, an area of development being monitored for a 20% chance of development that's just south and east of Gabrielle, way out in the Atlantic. 92. That was our high today. Notice the record high, under 100. Right? We're starting to see that change happen. The record today is 98. Now, Texarkana was 101, but that was the exception. 92 here in town. Del Rio topped out at 91. Laredo, 94. Right now, we're at 90 degrees, but cooling pretty efficiently. By 10 o'clock, we're down to 82, and then midnight, 78. Tomorrow, we start the day, just like the past several days, near 70 degrees. Then a mixture of sun and clouds taking us to 93. In the afternoon tomorrow, and just a subtle south-southeasterly wind at 5 to 15. Bernie tomorrow at 90, south side near Stinson Airport 94, Poteet 94, Devine 93 tomorrow. Really more of the same temperature-wise going forward. Just check back for updates on those rain chances as they start, albeit slight, over the weekend and then last into next week. What you doing on Saturday?
I know what you want to talk about.
Yeah. We're going to get our grub on at the second annual Texas Eats Food Festival, Boeing Center at Techport. So that's down there near Lackland, and it is this Saturday, September 20th. Get your tickets, KSAT.com, or go to that QR code right there. Come get you some good food. One fee, you're in. Boom, you got a lot to eat.
Got a big
my mom and my dad, they were so excited, and it was just an amazing feeling.
E.J. Colson called his parents, telling them he will start for the Cardinals this week in big board sports. Redshirt freshman E.J. Colson will start at quarterback for Incarnate Word Saturday when the Cardinals play at Northern Arizona. Colson came off the bench last week at UTSA and led the Cardinals to 3 second-half touchdowns in their 48-20 loss at UTSA. After going scoreless in the first half, Colson gave them the spark Coach Killough was looking for, and now he has the keys to the Cards offense.
Yeah, I mean, and EJ, he got to us right before fall camp, so obviously there was some growing that had to be done in terms of operation and everything, and he's progressively done that every single day. And we got in the game and we needed a spark on offense, gave him the nod, and he took full advantage of it. He can continue to grow. Obviously, in the operation world, he's great off the script, but continue to operate and lead. He's a pretty natural leader, so just continue to progress.
The backup QB always need to be ready to go, and last week Colson was when Coach Killough told him that he started in the second half. And Colson says bringing the juice, well, it's natural for him.
I just say it's always been in me. ever since I was a little kid, I was just always the energy on the football team. I just always wanted to be the energy. I was in pre-K, 4 years old, practicing with the middle school. My brother, just being the energy, just trying to get everybody going, and that's always been me. Out there today, I was just trying to, make sure we're running on and off the field, make sure we're executing, make sure we're going 100% every play. And when you do that, as the leader of the team, you have to be able to do that. And when you can't do that, everybody is just going to follow suit.
Incarnate Word will play at Northern Arizona Saturday at 4 p.m. And the Cardinals lead the all-time series with the Lumberjacks 1-0, beating them last season 38-14. And the UTSA Roadrunners will take their show on the road this week when they play at Colorado State. The two sides will meet for the third time and the first since 2016 on Saturday night in Fort Collins. The Rams lead the series 2-0. CSU head coach Jay Norville called the Roadrunners one of the best G5 teams in the nation. And here's Coach Traylor's response to that.
Jay's a good friend of mine. We've known each other a long time. I have a lot of respect for Jay. When he was at Oklahoma, him and Coach Heupel were the coordinators there. They recruited a lot of our players, so we developed a really good relationship through the years. We worked together at the University of Texas. We stayed in touch through the years. His wife, Kim. And Jay and I we're just close. We went through a lot together when we were at the University of Texas. That was a tough couple of years for all of us. And went to Nevada, turned that place around, went to Colorado State. He's done that. Stand-up guy. I like the way he does shop. So, huge fan of Jay's. I appreciate the compliment, but I have the same respect for Jay and his program.
Saturday will mark UTSA's 15th game played in the Mountain Time Zone, and the Roadrunners are 7-7 in games played on Mountain Time.
Fly ball, right field, foul pole. It is fair and gone. Number 55, Cal Raleigh.
Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh hit homers 55 and 56 last night. 55 passed up Mickey Mantle for the most homers by a switch hitter in a single season, and number 56 matched Ken Griffey Jr. for the most in a season in Mariners history. Cal has 11 games left to pass up the kid.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Okay, coming up next, a potential new Spurs arena downtown. What's it mean for you? We're going to talk about it in our KSAT Q&A after the break.
right, my friends, welcome back. This is something that people all over San Antonio are talking about, and that is Project Marvel. You know, the plan to create an entertainment district around Hemisphere, which would also include a new Spurs arena.
So we've talked with a lot of elected leaders here on this very Q&A about that plan. But today we are talking with someone from the Silver and Black. It is not Wemby, to be clear. It is Bobby Perez, Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel for Spurs Sports and Entertainment. We appreciate you being here.
No, thank you guys so much for having us. Appreciate the time.
So part of Project Marvel, a huge part, is this new arena, $1.3 billion. We're going to break down throughout this segment who's contributing what. But first things first, for anybody watching this at home, what is the cost to viewers? What is the cost to a taxpayer?
Thanks for the question. There's absolutely no cost to the taxpayer. The structure is set up that the arena is entirely funded by visitor taxes. And so the county's portion is capped, the city's portion is capped. You and I as taxpayers, or if we're renters as taxpayers, there's no cost to us. The second half all belongs to the Spurs. So we will pay for the other half of the arena and plus pay all overruns.
So there has been some criticism of that, though, for folks who were saying, but wait a minute, $489 million from the city, those are public dollars. County money, that's public money. So how are you differentiating that by saying that there is no cost to taxpayers when public money is involved?
It's a great question, and people do get confused. I think the source that it comes from is called a hotel occupancy tax. And both sources, one is the counties, the other is the state of Texas, is restricted by rule. And you cannot use that funding source for streets, roads, police, or fire. So no impact to the general fund. You can only use it for venues. And so I think the city, the county, us included, we wanted to make sure we put something out that was fair. And this structure is not new to our community. And every Texas city has a similar structure that builds their venues.
Why can't the Spurs pay for the entire thing?
So when you look across the NBA, we're one of 30, and we fall probably on the smaller market side. We're the market size 27. When you look at Indianapolis, Memphis, Oklahoma City, who just recently passed a similar measure for their team, all those small markets need public funding in their structure to compete with the Los Angeleses, the Chicagos, all the West Coast teams. And our structure is such that that has been the mechanism that we started probably 25 years ago with Cycle 1.
So let's talk about Prop B. I was telling you, I've already seen a lot of campaign signs for it. We are entering and, rapidly approaching early voting time for that. It's going to be on the November ballot. That's the county's portion that you mentioned, that tax on visitors, that tax on hotel stays, car rentals, up to $311 million. Why is that a key component that the Spurs believe they need for this funding?
So we're super excited about Proposition A and Proposition B, and we're asking everybody to go out and vote yes for both. That is the venue tax portion from the county. And so that's part A of the funding piece. That is a necessary component for passage because that is tagged to the state portion, which the city controls. And so those collectively together is that $800 million in public funding that leverages the rest of our investment, which is $2.1 billion. So we're really excited about that to not only invest in an arena, minimum of 500 plus cost overruns, and reinvest back in that same area for the future of San Antonio, another $1.4 billion.
Okay, let's say Proposition B does not pass. ¿Qué pasa? What happens then?
We're confident that Proposition B is going to pass.
But if it doesn't?
We're very excited that Proposition B is going to pass, and we're totally focused on passage and going out and sharing with the voter that here is the funding mechanism that is no impact to you or the renters, and the balance of it, the Spurs will take responsibility for, and we're using that visitor tax dollar to support this new development that, quite frankly, hasn't happened in more than a decade at that corner.
Sarah, just to follow up, if it doesn't pass, will the Spurs walk? Will you leave San Antonio? That's the question.
I understand that's the question, but we're totally focused on passage. We're confident it's going to pass. We believe that when we get that message out there to the voter, it will pass.
So, the funding for all of this, understanding the mechanisms, what's available to the city, what's available to the Spurs, it is complicated. But if somebody hears $800 million of taxpayer money, let's say that they're not somebody who's going to go to a new downtown Spurs arena. They don't live downtown. That could be a hard sell. So what are the Spurs and the proponents of Prop B and A saying, hey, this is why that investment is worth it, even if you're not a Spurs fan?
And we get that question, and we think it's a fair question. And so what we like to answer is, if you think of our company, this is 55 years in this community. I'm born and raised in San Antonio, and the brand means so much to people all across the country and all across our city. But our economic impact over the last 25 years has been $9.2 billion. And we think that is jobs, that is work creation, that is opportunity for all San Antonians. I think one of the things that through our foundation, whether it's the $30 million we've given over the last 25 years, or the $170 million that we've re-injected back into local and small businesses, we think it's another part of this project that benefits all of San Antonio.
Part of the other criticism with this for people who are not in favor of this is that they're saying, we do have a city that has a lot of needs. Why couldn't that money go towards something else? Why is it, because it's a big chunk of change, why is it specifically going to the Spurs?
It is, and I think the state of Texas has made the rules, and those rules say that this money can't be used for streets, roads, or sidewalks, or any other public use. You can only use it for venues. But we do believe that with this development, we think the future economic impact is in the billions of dollars. That does help the general funds, that does help streets and roads and sidewalks in communities, just like the ones we live in.
Yeah, there is a taxing mechanism you're referring to that is set up by the state. It's money that would go to Austin. They decide how to use it unless a project like this happens. Do you think that there are, as you're in campaign mode, misunderstandings or misconceptions about what Project Marvel is, the new arena itself, and the overall cost that you are trying to clear up?
I think that we welcome, this is the most democratic process in our country, certainly in our city. We welcome the opportunity to go out and explain to people, share information, and put out the facts. And that's what we are doing, and we hope when we do that, people will take a chance and they'll look at it and they'll understand it and they'll see that, and they'll make a choice for Prop A and for Prop B.
All right. He remains confident.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, Bobby,
Appreciate
we
the
appreciate your time. Spurs Sports and Entertainment will be talking to you, I'm sure, over the coming weeks as we head towards Election Day. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. 6:42 right now, 90 degrees out there. You're looking out there and you see a beautiful picture of our city. Skies are nice and blue, but I know you're thinking, I want to justify the pumpkin spice latte that I want to have every morning. And I'm sorry, but you just can't. We're just not in the pumpkin spice latte kind of weather pattern yet.
Yeah, not yet. But go ahead with your PSLs.
Yeah, be
do
happy.
what you got to do.
You do you, right?
Right.
Do your PSL thing. We got some Halloween colors and fall colors on this map, the drought monitor. We don't like to see the fall colors on here, but that's what we have because we still are in the extreme and exceptional drought in and around Bexar County and Medina County as well. We need more rainfall. Across the state, just less than 20% of Texas is considered in drought. We'll talk about our rain chances coming right up. I've been saying this for a few days. I really think the triple-digit heat is in the rearview mirror. But I do want to remind everybody that we have had 100 degrees as late as September 28th. That is the latest 100-degree day on record. And, of course, records date back to the late 1800s. This, of course, we hit in 2005. So we've seen it in late September. It's just not very common. And typically on average, the last 100-degree day is in late August. You look at our temperature trend going forward, low to mid 90s is the best way to put it. Anywhere from 90 to 94 for the afternoon high temperature. As for rain, it's a little bit of activity east of town that we had been talking about. Not a whole lot out there, just a little bit, and that's coming to an end. But rain chances going forward into the weekend, a few isolated brief stray showers, a 10 to 20% chance. And then we get into Monday evening and Monday night, and we've boosted it to 40% just because of a shift in the weather pattern. It gives us a little more optimism for some rain. But you see the main weather maker is far to the north. It's in the Dakotas and Minnesota. That's where it's swirling and providing the rain-making energy in the northern U.S. Around here, we have the upper level high, the big blue H. We can still squeeze out some showers, especially closer to the Gulf Coast, but we just don't have any large-scale system that can move in as this high blocks it and keeps it out. This will continue to drift westward a little bit. As it does so, The steering wind aloft will be coming in from West Texas and New Mexico, and that can sometimes have little rain-making ripples in the steering flow that then move overhead and can trigger a few isolated showers. That's why we have that slight chance this weekend and even into Monday. But what changes into Monday evening is the potential digging of this trough, a new disturbance that could dig in and enhance those rain chances a little bit. This is not a very certain pattern whenever we're dealing with these upper level cutoff lows, and we have an unusual amount of them going on in the days ahead, that it's one of those things you want to check back in for updates, because we'll be fine tuning it significantly in the days ahead. But the overall rainfall potential up and down the central U.S., especially up the plains. And around here, we could get in on some of that activity. So September 10th is the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. And, we went up until we had Gabrielle today. We went about 3 weeks without any named system out in the Atlantic basin. Now we have Gabrielle. Max sustained winds at 50 miles per hour. So a weak system, but likely to strengthen a smidge as it heads somewhere near Bermuda, then most likely turning away from the U.S. and heading into the North Atlantic. And another area we're watching for potential development, 20% chance of this tropical wave that's currently coming off the western coast of Africa. So a little bit of activity out there, but nothing significant. 90 right now. Here's the key. Dew point of 57. In this kind of weather pattern, this time of year, right now through about 8:30 p.m., basically the next hour and a half, 2 hours, I think is the best time of day, because we have dew points really low, down in the 50s. Now, come 9 o'clock, those dew points will be back up above 60, which means you'll feel a little bit of humidity out there. But by and large, it feels pretty good. So despite 90 degrees, that's not all that hot for us around here. It feels fine with the lack of mugginess. Tomorrow, or I should say right now, we're at 90 and even in the upper 80s in spots. Tomorrow we'll start the day near 70 degrees at sunrise, 87 at noon, then 93 the high temperature. And just like today, a mixture of sun and clouds. And yeah, we can't rule out one of those rogue showers popping up, especially closer to the Gulf Coast. Kerrville tomorrow 90. Carrizo Springs 95, along with Beeville. Just check back in for the updates on those rain chances in the days ahead. At least a glimmer of hope for a few showers.
Yeah, we got something.
Yeah, keeping our fingers crossed for that. We definitely need, I know, lawn's looking kind of dry lately. A little parched.
Thanks, Adam. We'll be right back. just a few minutes from 7 o'clock, which is when we kick off KSAT Sports Now on our streaming platforms.
That's right. Let's send things on over to our friend Larry Ramirez, who is tracking all things UTSA football.
Yes, guys, thank you very much. So UTSA is getting ready to go play at Colorado State Saturday night, and it will be the third ever meeting with the CSU Rams. The Rams have won the first two previous games, and UTSA, for them, one of the biggest challenges, they have to get used to playing at a higher elevation than what they're used to here in San Antonio. We're also talking Incarnate Word football, playing at Northern Arizona this coming Saturday, and they have a brand new quarterback, E.J. Colson. He's been with the team, of course, but now he's going to be the starter, replacing Richie Torres. UTRGV football. Wow, what can we say about them? A first-year program. They are 3-0 under head coach Travis Bush. They are really doing some good things. We will hear from Coach Bush coming up. Plus, we're also going to hear from the Dallas Cowboys' newest pass rusher, Jadeveon Clowney. He signed a one-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys, and he says that Jerry Jones spoils the team. You will hear those quotes from him coming up.
You know what? We just can't get enough of our pictures outside. So here's a live look. This is I-10 at Callahan West, where you can see traffic is flowing very smoothly at this hour. Exactly what you want to see. No traffic.
Yeah, no major issues out there. Thank you so much for watching the news at 6. We appreciate you being with us.
And we'll see you on the night feed. Good night.